Howdy, friends. Welcome to the Eclectic Sam YouTube channel. First off, I'd like to thank all the new subscribers that have come over from Cincinnati Pickers. I didn't expect him to even mention me. I was just thanking him for, giving me the inspiration to start this YouTube channel. But thanks for you all subscribing, all the kind comments that you've given me and everything. I hope that you're enjoying this little journey that I'm having, and I hope you stick with me along the way. We only have one item that we sold today. Today's Tuesday, so it'd be Monday's sales. It's an interesting item. You'd be thinking, why is a scruffy, bearded guy from North Georgia selling this item? Let me show it to you. This item should be over here in bin G. Let me show you this. Yes, it's a bustier. It's a dark brand, new with tags. I paid $5 for it in a lot of new with tags lingerie from a auction company, and it sold for $29.99. Selling that got me to thinking. The two most common questions that I have when I tell people that I sell items on eBay are, one, what do you sell? And two, how do you know what to sell it for? Well, as far as what do I sell, we should probably give a little bit of background about me, Sam. Probably would start back in my middle school years. My mother, she was an antique dealer. She set up at a lot of antique shows and traveled around. And little me would tag along, and eventually I'd get interested in stuff. But my thing was, this was back in the late 80s, early 90s, when baseball cards were really big. So I got into baseball cards. But I actually had the forethought as a young guy to see that the 80s and 90s baseball cards were just mass produced. They weren't going to be worth a whole lot down the road. So I specialized in vintage baseball cards. I had them all back until the late teens. The tobacco cards that people know about, all the way up until I probably stopped in the mid 70s. I love to collect Babe Ruth. I had a few Babe Ruth cards. I collected several vintage 1930s sets and sold those. My mother would give me a little table at her booth at the antique shows, and sometimes I would sell more than she would during the week at those weekends at those shows. Yeah, that was an awkward drive home when you sold more than your mother at an antique show. But that's how I got started. In 1994, there was a strike by the baseball players. And that gave me a real sour taste for baseball altogether. I quit watching it. I quit selling baseball cards. I just had no interest in it. The fact that these millionaires were complaining about the money that they were making. So I started venturing out into antiques, learning about them, setting up at flea markets and selling. I was doing good. In high school, I was one of the few people that had two cars. I had a daily driver, a little 88 Escort. It was a daily driver. Had my big sound system in it. But my first first hot rod that I bought was then, and it was an 81 Camaro. I got in a lot of trouble with that car. Yeah, just a lot of trouble with my parents and the law and everything. I traded it for a 72 Chevelle. My senior year, I had that car. I had a lot of fun with it. And this whole time I was selling things here and there, making money, enjoying learning about stuff, and selling all kinds of odds and ends. Fast forward a few years, I went to school, got a degree in marketing, Got married, and during those times, I kind of slacked off from selling. Still learned as much as I could. I've always been interested in researching things. Um, but yeah, I never really sold much until 1999. I've been hearing about this new website called eBay where people could sell their stuff on there and make money. Thought, well, let me join that. So in 1999, I joined eBay. I still have that same account. Yeah, I have a 22-year-old account on eBay, which is pretty odd for some people. But I had put all those baseball cards that I was selling back then back in storage. I never did sell them off. So I started selling baseball cards on eBay. That was the first thing that I ever sold. The first several years of selling on eBay, I would only specifically sell certain things at a time. Like I started with baseball cards. Then I branched over to die-cast cars. Did a lot of Hot Wheels at the time and stuff like that. Then I eventually got to where I had left my job from Radio Shack. I was management for Radio Shack. My doctor said because of my disability, I had to get off my feet. And at that time, I started with a company that sold 67 to 69 Camaro parts. Only those 3 years. And it's called the first generation Camaro. That's the first body style. While I was working at the Camaro shop, that's when I started learning about car parts. What parts went on what cars, what was more valuable than the other. Big block, preferably a small block, and all that. Did tons of research while I was working with them. I worked for them for 14 years before I had to, basically retire because of my disability. During the time I was working there, though, I started selling used car parts on eBay. I did very well on those because I knew what to look for, knew what people wanted. Then I branched into cars. During that time, I probably sold 20 or 25 different classic cars on eBay, some of them. Of course, a lot of Camaros, several 69 Camaros. Had one neat 69 Camaro that I bought from the original owner. It was a true little old lady story. Had a hearse. Unfortunately, I don't have a lot of pictures of those cars now, but that was fun. I really enjoyed that, and I eventually want to get back into selling the classic cars. Eventually, the car parts got to be where they were too heavy for me to carry, or didn't have enough storage room and stuff like that. Plus, unfortunately, I had to leave that job after 14 years. That was my dream job. I got to sit and talk about old junk cars for a living. So when I left there, I wanted to keep up doing eBay as a part-time thing as much as I could, even though my energy levels are slim to none. It's hard for me to do something constantly. But I started to where I was seeing that I had knowledge on a lot of things. So I would start selling everything that I knew about on eBay, from antiques to clothes to car parts, small ones to collectibles, all kinds of stuff like that. Some of the neat things, odd things over the years that I've sold that are memorable. I had a salesman sample steam engine. It was the salesman sample that when a factory was being built, the salesman would take it, show it to the factory builders and say, do you want to buy this one? That was a very rare piece. It was from the late 1800s. Never seen one like it before. Probably will never see one like it again. I made a couple $100 on it. I really wanted to keep it for my personal collection, but you can't keep everything, unfortunately. Another cool thing that I had was a large pewter wine chalice that a church would use for commencements. That was a very neat thing. Some would call it a pimp cup, but no, this was actually a wine chalice from some kind of a church or whatever. Also, another cool thing that I had was the world's smallest pistol, working pistol. I had bought a box lot of items from a auction for $5. Looked like it was somebody's junk drawer. We all have them. Somebody just dumped their junk drawer out in the box, and there was all kinds of nifty little things in there, like pocket knives and stuff like that. Well, in the bottom of it was this little plastic round case with what I thought was a keychain. You know, those old little gun keychains that we all had as kids. And I got home and I got looking at that case and I was like, first of all, why would a keychain be in a plastic case? Second of all, this little toy gun has a working trigger. So I got to looking at it, doing some research, typing in Google the name that was on it and everything. And come to find out, it was a 2mm pistol, not much bigger than a quarter, that was a working gun. Keep in mind, I paid $5 for this whole box lot of items. I sold that little pistol for $250. Probably about around the same time of buying that pistol, I bought a toolkit, a Ferrari toolkit. All the older Ferraris, they would have a leather bag that was in the trunk for tools, because if you know anything about vintage Italian cars, they always break down. I was really surprised to find that toolkit here in North Georgia at an auction. I made several $100s off of it. Another cool item that I bought was it was the handle part, the little power supply for a camera flash, vintage camera flash. But the reason why I bought this, I always do research when I'm going to an auction. If I see pictures ahead of time of items that they're selling, so, you know, if it's something that's worth a lot more, I'll know. But come to find out, this camera flash handle was the basis of what they used to make Luke Skywalker's lightsaber, and is very popular with the cosplay people who like to dress up as Luke Skywalker or whatever. One funny thing that I'm known for is selling Pimp Shoes. That's what I call them, but you know, the fancy designer dress shoes that a lot of people wouldn't wear but are gaudy, and some people like me like to be flashy. But I always get them when I see them at thrift stores, and do very well with them, might I add. I think one of the things that I'm most proud about finding is an item that I kept for myself. I was going on a trip. I needed a bag to travel with. I didn't have anything. And I don't like normal stuff. I didn't want to go to Walmart and have the same bag that everybody else has. So I went to the thrift store, my local Goodwill, and I got to looking for a bag. I got to the back of the Goodwill where they keep all the bags, and the guy was actually putting some new ones out. And I saw on his little cart there was a nice big leather duffel bag there. I was like, that looks nice. That looks like something I'd want. So he put it on the shelf, and as soon as he put it on the shelf, I grabbed it. Once I grabbed that bag, I immediately knew what it was. The quality was there, the stitching was right, and everything. It was a vintage Coach leather duffel bag. Now, the thing about vintage Coach is most of the vintage Coach leather bags don't have the Coach name on the outside of it. It's only on the inside. on the big label that they put on Coach. So apparently, the people at Goodwill, when they were looking, sorting the items, didn't even realize that that was a Coach bag. So I got that bag for a whopping $8. And now that bag's probably worth about $300 to $400. I won't ever sell it. It's one of those things that I enjoyed for myself. Some things you can keep. I don't have that much money in it. If I ever need to sell it, there's that profit. It's like a reseller's, investment, their savings account. But me telling you about all those items basically goes down to when people ask, what do I sell? My main answer is anything I can make money on. It's plain and simple. Right now, I sell a lot of clothes because it's a easy source of inventory, easy replenishable source of inventory. But I do a lot of hard goods, a lot of collectibles too. Anything that I can make money on. If I don't know about it, I'm going to research it. Now, researching, that's your key thing right there as far as being a successful eBayer. Successful anything, really, if you want to learn about something. Goes back to a statement when I was working for the Camaro shop that my boss would tell me when I first started, when I was learning about the Camaros. I'd go ask a question about how this part fit, or did this car have that? And he'd always say, did you use all your resources? Did you use your catalog? Did you use your builder's manual? Did you use this? Did you use that? Well, no. He said, okay, go back and use those resources. Because if he just answered the question, how am I going to retain that information? If I took the time to research and use my resources, I'm going to retain that information, and I'll probably learn even more while I'm looking for that one answer. That right there tells you, as far as the question that I have so often is, how do you know what to sell things for? How do you know so much about these items? Plain and simple, I've spent my entire life researching about things, researching about antiques, researching about art, researching about history, researching values of items. Use eBay. eBay is a very good tool to use to learn the values of items. You can search what items sold for. Also use Google items. Before Google and the internet, it was hard. We actually had to read books and travel and learn like that. But now, with the invention of the internet, Google, websites, there is absolutely no reason why someone cannot learn how to value items and learn about items, where they come from, what they're used for, and so forth. I can normally sit down and within 10 minutes tell you the value of something if I don't know about it, simply by using my resources, the internet. So that right there is going to be your successful key and advice that I give you. Use your resources. Use the internet. Not everybody's going to hand it out to you because business is business. I'm gladly willing to give information as far as how to do something. But my knowledge as far as learning the values of items, I've spent years and years doing that. And when I told you about my boss at the Camaro shop, he wanted me to go out and learn it for myself instead of telling me. And that's what I want to tell you is, I'm your friend. I want to help you. but learn for yourself as well. It's all about knowledge. Well, that's about it for this video. I hope you enjoyed my ramblings as far as learning about items and selling and everything. If you're not already, please subscribe to the channel. Like this video if you liked it. If you didn't like it anyhow. And if you will, come back in the future. Love you, friends. Bye now.